Hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley here with you. 9 minutes with Mike Lindsley here on IGTV, YouTube, and Facebook. We are brought to you by Bryant and Stratton College, as well as Welch and Company Jewelers, and the official golf course of the Platter, which is Timberbanks Golf Club. Visit timberbanks.com. Get your 2019 membership today. This video focuses on the Buffalo Bills. That's right. My team, the team of some of you as well. The Bills are a disaster after week one, and a lot of it has to do with the offensive line. The other part has to do with Nathan Peterman. The other part has to do with the secondary, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of layers of this thing right now. But what I will tell you right now is that going into week two against the Chargers, the conversation is who should start at quarterback. To me, it's who shouldn't start at quarterback. Now, I really do understand the risk of putting Josh Allen behind center. By the way, still a brand new center considering that Eric Wood isn't there anymore. I do understand the concern of putting Josh Allen behind center with a bad offensive line and just letting him get crushed and hit like a piñata at a fifth grader's birthday party. But the reality of the situation is, if you go back and watch the tape, if you go back and watch the game against the Ravens, Josh Allen made a lot more plays than Nathan Peterman did. He looked more poised in the pocket. His footwork was better. He was dancing around a little bit more. He checked people down a little bit more. And, Brian Daboll's offense was not exactly moving and shaking the way it was in the preseason. Now, again, I'm not a big, he had a good preseason guy, because Nathan Peterman had a great preseason. That did nothing for anybody. And again, I just don't think Nathan Peterman is an NFL quarterback. I don't even think he's good enough to be a third-string quarterback. I thought he was really brutal at Pittsburgh for a few starts, and I don't think he should be even sniffing the field. If I'm Nathan Peterman, I try to go right to the XFL when that league commences and tries to get going in its second run here. But, Brian Daboll in the preseason, having said all that, he did show us some of that new offense, did he not? Against the Panthers, against the Browns, he showed us that new offense. Guys motioning, guys moving around like crazy. The receivers are active. Guys in the slot, trick plays, formations that looked a little weird to the defense, keeping the defense on the heels. Why didn't the Bills run more of those plays against clearly a Ravens defense in the rain that was more physical, can tackle, and leaves the first stringers in there for a long, long time? The only reason why any first stringers left that game for the Baltimore Ravens was because, it was a complete and utter blowout. But, this weekend, I don't think there's any question that the Bills should start Josh Allen. I just don't know what the coaching staff is going to do, what Brandon Beane is going to do in terms of having to answer to that fan base when the Bills take the field. Think about this. Whether they win the coin toss or not and take the ball or defer, that first offensive possession when Nathan Peterman comes back out into the huddle, can you imagine the 76,000 or so fans in Buffalo booing, going crazy, going apeshit, throwing dildos on the field, of course? I just can't imagine. You've got to start Josh Allen in this game. Now, the other interesting dilemma would be A.J. McCarron. Now, if you had kept A.J. McCarron, you could actually start the veteran this week and maybe work Allen in the second half, etc., but you don't even have A.J. McCarron. The other thing to look at, as far as Josh Allen goes, is if the excuse is going to be the offensive line, if the excuse is going to be, they don't have anybody, they're missing Incognito, they're missing Eric Wood, the right side is a disaster, Deion Dawkins hasn't developed yet, blah, 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 the offensive line is going to get him killed. Okay, if that's the argument, which right now it appears to be, and of course that would be the only argument that I have as well, then when is a good time to put Josh Allen in there? This team is not going to win more than 6 games this year. If they win 6, it's probably going to be a pretty good year. This is more like a 4 or 5 win team this year, in my opinion. Now, they could change things. They could turn things around. They could pull a couple of upsets. But, folks, come on. They've got the Chargers this week. They got at Minnesota, at Green Bay, at Houston, Tennessee, Patriots twice, divisional games against the Dolphins and Jets. You got to be kidding me. They got to deal with the Colts and Andrew Luck. Come on now. This is probably a 5 or 6 win team at most. If they go 4-12, nobody's going to be surprised. And then you're going to get a top 10 pick in the NFL draft with a lot of cap room and try to get, some pieces to build around Josh Allen. But look, you're going to lose all those games anyways. Does it really matter if Josh Allen goes in there and throws 22 picks and gets reps? Yeah, he could get hurt. But you know what? So could Aaron Rodgers. Oh, look, wait, too late for that. Aaron Rodgers already got hurt in week 1 against the Chicago Bears. He went back in his first game back from last year's injury, and he had the same knee injury that haunted him a few years ago. That same knee, that same tweak, that same ligament, he might very well be playing on a torn ACL this week against the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers, in the first game back from being hurt nearly all of last year, he got hurt, okay? Look at Deshaun Watson. He took some unbelievable hits this past week. How about the ridiculousness of the Indianapolis Colts' line? Did they say, well, we have Andrew Luck back, but we're not going to start him because our line blows? Their line is horrendous. Andrew Luck also scrambled out of the pocket a couple times. He got crushed in the head multiple times in that game against Cincinnati. So what my point is that this is football. I mean, yeah, you and I can wake up tomorrow morning and we can break our ankle in the bathtub. We can hit our head and get a concussion on the wall. Whatever the hell we're doing, anybody can get injured at any time. Josh Allen, he can get injured at any time as well. The offensive line is clearly a disaster. We know that. But if that's the excuse for Josh Allen not starting, then I'm not sure when you start him. Do you start him in week 9, week 10? Do you start him in 5 weeks when basically the offensive line is going to be the exact same line? I mean, to me, you put him in there. He's a big kid. He can handle it. He's showing the moxie. He gave a lot more, in my opinion, in week 1 against the Ravens, against a real deal Holyfield team, up against adversity, knowing that you're not going to win the game, terrible conditions. Again, he didn't rewrite the record books in any way, shape, or form, but he did a hell of a lot more than what Nathan Peterman did. And I think normally management doesn't have to answer to fan bases. I think there's a couple of occasions in American sports where the front office, the GM, the head coach, some of the scouts, they actually do think about the fan base. They listen to talk radio. It affects their decisions. Boston Red Sox have done that in the past. But the reality with this situation is the Buffalo Bills may be looking at the fan base as well. This fan base has been clamoring for Josh Allen the last several weeks. They were clamoring for him at training camp. I went out on the last day of training camp, and every single fan I walked up to hand a business card to Magnitude where I said, hey, what do you think of the Bills this year? What's your pulse? What do you think? This and that. The first thing they said was, I want to see Josh Allen play. And I'll tell you right now, if you put Nathan Peterman back in this week, you're going to lose Bills Mafia. Mike Lindsley with you, 9 minutes here with Mike Lindsley, brought to you by our friends at the Brewerton Diner. Awesome place to be. If you're in and around Central New York, right off of the Bartell Road exit, I had an amazing Reuben there the other day, had a patty melt the week before. Go there about twice a week. The place is amazing. Great breakfasts. They have the best bacon in the country. Seriously, get to the Brewerton Diner if you're in and around Central New York, right off of Bartell Road. We're also brought to you by Axe Exotic Pets, Wagurski Law Firm, Welch & Company Jewelers, and my good friend Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual New York State. I went with Brian. I'm putting away money today to benefit tomorrow. Brian Comboy, tax-efficient retirement planning. Go with Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual New York State. Also a tip of the cap to your State Farm agent, Matt Graham, as well as Bowers & Company CPAs. Hit me on Twitter at Mike L. Sports, Mike L. Sports 1979 on Snapchat and Instagram. And, of course, visit pinstripepassion.com for my Yankees and baseball commentary. Get my podcast, the ML Sports Platter. We just topped 36,000 listens tonight. Super proud of that. Spotify, Google Play Music, and iTunes. You can download that podcast. Thanks for watching 9 Minutes with Mike Lindsley. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.